All right, last video, I promise. This last one, I wanted to talk about high frequency words. Like I said in the last video, this might be a little different than what we've done in the past as far as sight words. These are kind of synonymous words that we can use, but we're going to use the word high frequency word. And this year, our high frequency words are going to be taught explicitly. We are going to look at each one and mapped out phoneme by phoneme or sound by sound. So when you get the flashcards, which I have here and will show you, you're going to notice three different markings for different letters in our high frequency words. Letters with no markings, those letters follow normal sound patterns and can be read or decoded regularly. There will be some underlined letters. These letters, or groups of letters sometimes, follow some kind of phonics rule or pattern that we're going to teach our students this year. Now, we may not teach it until later in our reading curriculum, but we will go through and talk about it and teach it when we teach and introduce the sight word. So even in the curriculum map, we don't get to long vowels until the third quarter later. Well, when we see the word white here in a little bit, that is the magic key at the end that makes the I say its name, we're going to talk about that and teach that with the word white, even though we won't get to it in our normal curriculum until later. There are also some words that will have underlined letters with hearts. These letters or letter groups are irregular and do not follow a normal phonics pattern. And so those things need to be memorized by heart. Those parts in the word need to be memorized by heart. Our sight words this year are actually double-sided. There is one side where the sight words are mapped out. We have the underlined pieces. We have the heart parts. On the back side, there are no markings on them. This is done intentionally so that as you guys practice and are learning the words, sometimes the mapping out and the markings are going to help you. But by the time we get to later on in the year and some of these words become really easy for students, they're able to identify them easily, then we wouldn't need the markings on them anymore. When we do our testing, we're going to show students without the markings. And so having the ability to go back and forth, we can use that support of having the markings and having the words mapped out when we need to, but we also want to understand that when we read books, we're obviously not going to have those markings. So having them both ways kind of gives us the best of both worlds a little bit. So we're going to go through each word here in our first quarter and kind of go through really quickly and just map them all out. So the word A it makes the long A sound because it is an open syllable. The A is the only syllable in it, and so it makes the long sound. Same thing with the letter I. If we look in the E has a heart part over it because E does not usually make the sound. So that is why it has one of the heart parts up there. And is a normal word. It follows the normal typical sound patterns for AN, the and then the D at the end. Go and he follow the same as A and I. They have an open last syllable, and so that makes the vowel say its long sound. So it's go, and it's he. The O says O, and the E says E. In the word C, we have the double E. That's one that's in our phoneme and grapheme dictionary. If we look on the backside here for our long vowels, we'll see that in order to make the E sound, it can be represented lots of ways. One of those ways that we're going to learn is the double E. So that's why that one is underlined. It's a rule that we're going to learn and talk about. U, we have the normal Y sound, and OU does not normally make that U sound, and so that's why it has a heart part over it. We has an open syllable E at the end. It makes the long sound. Of actually has both letters being a heart part because it does not follow the rules at all. So that's going to be one that we just kind of need to know by heart. Two, there should be an open O at the end, but instead it makes the oo sound with just one. That's why it has a heart part over it. Have, this is a word that doesn't quite follow all of it because of the E at the end. So that's why it is underlined. It should make that A say AA, but it doesn't. So that's why it's underlined. Yes follows the normal. Red follows the normal sound patterns for those words. No goes through the O as the open. OR, we're going to learn that says or, and then GE, we're going to learn that if G is followed by the letter E, I, or Y, it makes the J sound instead of the normal hard sound G, G. So that's why that's underlined. That's a rule that we're going to learn and talk about. And then we get into some of our colors. Yellow, OW, can make the O sound. We have another double E in green. That's underlined because we're going to learn about that. UE can make the oo sound in blue. We'll teach that rule. UR can say and the LE says the l sound with that E being silent at the end. INK makes the ink sound, and CK at the end, instead of saying k, we just know it's going to make one sound and say k. WH is a digraph that we're going to learn. W says the W sound at the end. This E at the end is a correct magic E. It makes the I say its name. And then in brown, OW makes the ow sound. And then we have one more word at the end. From is one that's at the end. The FR make the normal sounds. The O does not typically say and so that is why it is underlined and has the heart part up under it. We'll go through each word each time we get a new sight word in class or a high frequency word in class. We're going to go through and map it just kind of like I did for you here in the video. And then each time we get more high frequency words out to you guys as families, I will also create another video that walks through each one so that you are aware of how to map out each word. Thank you.